Hello everyone, it is Dr. Matilda here of Mr. Revision. Today we are going to be talking about our 5 top resources to get you through your SJT exam in final year. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So first things first, we're going to start off with a disclaimer today, and the purpose of the disclaimer is basically just to let you know that all of the resources that we are talking about, they are resources that we personally found useful. We are not getting any money by telling you about any of these resources, and we don't have any sponsorship with them. The reasons why we are talking about them today is because we found them useful in a personal capacity, and we just wanted to share that with you. Let's get started. Resource number 1. The UK Foundation Programme website is your friend, especially the SJT section. The reason why we say that is that the UK Foundation Programme website does have practice papers, and they are official practice papers. From what I recall, in our time there wasn't that many of them. I think there was about 1 or 2 of them. Some people like to save the practice papers for nearer the exam time. In terms of the approach I personally used, I did the practice paper once early on in my revision process so that I could assess where I was officially by the official standards, and then I did the practice paper again in nearer the time and in the run-up to the exam. From what I understand from the UK Foundation Programme website, they are set to release some new practice papers in August 2020, so please put the date in your diaries and make sure you look out for it and keep your eyes peeled. However, when I did search today, I could still find the old practice papers online. Resource number 2 is the book called Get Ahead, Situational Judgement Test. I personally really enjoyed this book. I found it really helpful. I really liked the layout of the book. I liked the explanations of the book. Some of the situational judgment test books, people tend to find lots of mistakes or you disagree with their reasoning. But this one, I didn't really find too many mistakes in it. The other thing I would say about this book is it's probably about this thick. It's about this big. It's not that big. So it's really easy to put in your bag. If you're on placement and you have a quiet moment and you're wanting to do some revision on the side. Obviously finance can be an issue in final year, so one of our top tips that we would say is that feel free to try and buy the book in an almost like new form, which basically means that the book has had a previous owner. But I always used to look out when I was buying books for books that were used like new and specified that there was no writing in it, because I didn't really like it when other people had annotated a book. The other thing to mention as well is that it might actually be worth getting the book from an older year. So try not to make it someone who has done their situational judgment test 5 years ago, preferably someone who's just done it, like the foundation doctors who have just passed, because their books are more likely to be in date and they're more likely to have bought the oldest edition. They might give it to you, or you might be able to buy it from them at a cheaper price. Resource number 3, Oxford Assess and Progress Situational Judgement Test. This book was also a really good book that I also enjoyed. In terms of the ward bag test, Ruth and I always discuss books that can fit into your ward bag, because we know that prior to COVID, you were allowed to have a small bag on the ward. I don't know what things are like now, but this book is actually probably small enough to fit in your back pocket if you've got relatively large pockets. It's about, I think it's about this size, and it's about that thick. So it's not a very thick book, but it's a very loaded book. The only cons of this book, I would say, are that the print is a bit on the small side. I believe that the book is in its 3rd edition now, so it's up to date. And actually, I don't have anything bad to say about the book. It was quite useful, quite helpful. And again, I didn't really find any mistakes in it, and neither did I find any reasoning that I particularly disagreed with. It wasn't, because there are some SJT books that you buy that are actually more confusing, but I was quite happy with this one. Resource number 4, Passmedicine. If you don't know about Passmedicine, you need to get to know about Passmedicine. I have been using Passmedicine since I was in 3rd year of medical school, and Passmedicine have definitely expanded. They do lots of different, entrance exams for specialities. What I would say is that as part of your final year Passmedicine subscription, so if you don't know, Passmedicine is a question bank. You also get access to their Situational Judgement Test question bank, and I believe, though don't quote me, go and check, their Prescribing Skills Assessment question bank. We will be doing a video on prescribing skills assessment separately, but in terms of value for money, again, cash-strapped medical students, if you had to pick of all of the resources that we mentioned today, assuming that finances, are an issue, which they were for me when I was in final year, I would pick the Passmedicine, because you get your final year question bank and you also get the Situational Judgement Test question bank, as well as Prescribing Skills Assessment. Double check the Prescribing Skills Assessment, but I'm pretty sure you get all 3. Resource number 5, Emedica. So Emedica is basically like a training kind of course kind of thing, and it's run by Dr. Rymer, and I went on the SJT course in my final year. I managed to get my pennies together. I believe that he does discounts if you book as a group, so this is the time to work together, people. Just check it out, because I'm sure that if it more than 2 of you or something book together, you get like some kind of group discounts, but he always has discounts, or usually tends to have some kind of discounts. So I went on the Situational Judgement Test course back in, I think it was 2014, 2015. And it was a really good course. I really enjoyed it. At that time, there were lots of different SJT courses which were kind of up and coming. But one thing I would say is that I have used a number of Dr. Rahman's resources, and I would say that they are good resources. They are well researched, and he basically teaches on, when I did it, he taught on the foundation program, a Situational Judgement Test course, and he talks more about your technique. He talks about giving consideration to the time that you have to do the exam. What he also does, which is really wonderful, is he puts the Situational Judgement Test exam into context. So we all know that in terms of getting allocated your Foundation 1 place, it depends on your it's a combination of 2 things: your educational performance measure plus your SJT gives you an overall score, and that decides where you rank in the country, and it decides where you're able to apply to in terms of jobs, the geographical area. Now, for some people, medical school, and I wouldn't say for some people, for all of us, medical school is a challenge. Some people are able to, do exceptionally well throughout all years, which means that automatically they have a really high educational performance measure. However, if for whatever reason you've had to resit an exam or you've had to retake exams, that can affect that score. But he puts into perspective the fact that actually, if you put in your energy to the SJT and you do really well in the SJT, you can make a difference to your overall score, and this can really affect you being able to get your geographical location of choice. But essentially, I've included like a print screen of the page. Go and research it and see if it's a course for you. I can only say that I enjoyed it. We went through, I believe that it was kind of going through exam technique, and sometimes with these kinds of tests, it's also, as well as putting in the hard work, it's also about knowing how you should approach the exam. And I found that after going to his course, I was able to kind of rethink my strategy in how I was approaching the situational judgment test. These were our 5 top resources. I just want to say that the resources weren't ranked in any particular order. They were just our 5 top resources, and a little bit about my SJT story. So in terms of my SJT story, I was fortunate enough to remain in South Thames. I would say that putting in the work early for the SJT makes a difference. You have so much to do in final year, and it's important, as we've said in our other video, which is 5 top tips to getting through final year. It's important to know what to prioritize and when. The SJT is quite important because it determines where you'll be for the next 2 years, so I would definitely say it's worth putting the effort in. And I would say start early. I would say even if you don't want to start now, if you've got books that you want to order, if you've got courses that you want to go on, order your books now. Book the courses now, because what I definitely noticed around the time of the exam was that all of the SJT books seemed to be kind of out of stock, and people were like scrambling in the library to try and get copies of these books that older years had recommended. So finally, contact us, email us at mr.revisioninfo@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at _Mr. Revision. Also follow our blog at www.mr.revision.com.